Okay, this video is for grade 7 from your long answer review package. So you're supposed to show as much work on these ones as you possibly can. So it says Alistair has $150 in his bank account. So that starts out as positive 150. He owes, so these are negative values that he has to pay back, $45 to his sister, $25 to his brother, and $70 to his friend. Alistair likes to have a minimum of $50, so he wants to have at least $50 in his account at all times in case of an emergency. He wants to buy a $400 bike but needs to clear all of his debts before doing so. How much money does Alistair have to save? So what we have to do is we have to start out with our $150. We're going to subtract all of the debt that he has. So we're going to get rid of these numbers. Whatever he has left at the end, we have to make sure that he has $400 to buy his bike. So we're going to add $400 and we're going to add whatever we need to make sure he has at least $50. Because if he buys the bike, say for example, he only has exactly $400 left in his bank account, he's not buying the bike because he has to have a minimum of $50. So we have to make sure at the end there is enough to buy the bike, so $400 and $50 to be able to keep in his account. Okay, so I'm going to start out with 150. Whoa. 1 second. Okay, I'm going to stop this video because obviously the camera is messing up, so I'm going to stop it and I'll restart it. All right, this is attempt number 2 for this question because the camera was glitching, but it's for grade 7 from your long answer review package. So we're already looking at Alistair has $150 in his bank account. He owes this amount of money, so he owes $45 to his sister, $25 to his brother, and $70 to his friend. So all of these numbers are numbers that we have to subtract from the $150. It also says Alistair likes to have a minimum of $50 in his account at all times in case of emergency. He wants to buy a bike for $400, but he needs to clear all of his debts before he can buy the bike. So how much money does Alistair need to save up? So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract all of the debt that he has, so all of the money that he owes. Then we are going to make sure that he has enough money to buy the $400 bike and to still have a minimum of $50 in his account. So I'm going to start subtracting the amounts that he owes. So it's 150 minus 45 minus 25 minus 70. So that's getting rid of all of his debt. So if I do these one at a time, 150 minus 45 leaves me with 105 minus 25 minus 70. I would encourage you to do it in steps like this because like we said, it's out of 10 marks. So if you do make a mistake but I can't see where you made a mistake, then it's hard for me to give you part marks. Okay, so 105 minus 25 leaves 80. And then 80 minus 70 is $10. So that means at this point, Alistair has $10 left in his account. But the thing is, he wants to get the bike, which is $400, and he also has to have a minimum in his account at all times of $50, it says, in case of emergencies. So if you add up these two amounts, that's $450 is what he needs to have. But he already has $10 in his account. So what you're just going to do is 450 minus 10, because he already has $10 left from the amount that he initially started with. So if you do 450 minus 10, then it's $440. So he needs to save $440. That's your answer. Okay, so like I said, show as much work as you possibly can because this is not actually a very complicated question. So if you were to just subtract this all in one shot, it's hard for me to give you part mark, okay? If you make a mistake somewhere, it's not easy to like distinguish to be able to give you 8 on 10 or something like that. This video is for grade 7 from your long answer review package to the third package. So this question says, this is the problem. You square 6, add 8 to this number, and divide the sum by 4. A student has attempted to write the correct numbers and operations for this problem in his math class. The student has written 6 squared plus 8 divided by 4, but the teacher insists that this is incorrect. So we have to explain the student's error and correct it. So we have to be very clear about why we are while we're explaining the correction that we did and why. So if you do 6 squared plus 8 divided by 4, like this student did, if you're following order of operations, like yes, you would do 6 squared is 36 plus, then it says 8 divided by 4. Well, if we're following BEDMAS, which you can write in your questions for yourself because that's part of your work by remembering that that's the order that you're following. Okay, if we get to this point, we would do this division, 8 divided by 4, so we would have 2, before the addition and subtraction. So this would be 8 divided by 4 is 2, and you would do 36 plus 2 is 38. However, in the question, it says square 6, add 8 to this number, and divide the sum, so sum we know means addition, by 4. They want you to square the 6 and add the 8, and then all of this is supposed to be divided by 4 after. So if we add brackets to this, 6 squared plus 8, now we would be performing the sum inside here before dividing by 4. Okay, so here we are actually dividing the whole sum. So you're doing the addition first and then dividing it by 4. Okay, so the problem is the lack of brackets in the question, so you wouldn't get the same answer. So here we would get 36 plus 8 divided by 4. So if you do 36 plus 8, you should get 44, and you're dividing this sum. So now we've done the answer for the sum and dividing it by 4. So you would write 44 divided by 4 is 11. Okay, so you would have to write some kind of clear explanation for yourself, saying that without the brackets, we are not coming up with the same answer. So the brackets are necessary to make sure you perform the sum before dividing by 4. Okay, you can write this out in words as your explanation, as long as you have some calculations showing how you found the right answer. So the correct answer would be 11.